Okay, so there is a instrument called the cathode ray tube CRT, which has a film or a hot film which emits electrons, which throws electrons. So this is negative voltage and it's called a cathode. So typically the picture we have is that the cathode emits negative charges and its electrons. But when we look at a cell as shown in this picture, it has two terminals. One is the anode. This is the anode and this is the cathode. Now the anode is typically made of, let me take a black one, it's made of zinc and it's an ammonium chloride solution here. When it's placed in there, what happens is the zinc releases electrons because of oxidation. Oxidation takes place and there is loss of electrons. So the electrons are lost, but they stay on the anode. They stick on the anode, and then there are a lot of electrons that are formed. And what happens to the zinc atoms? They become positive ions. They become positive. They become ions, zinc ions. And these ions are released into the solution slowly. So the positive zinc ions get into the solution. So when you look at this, the terminal is something that releases positive ions. Here we saw the cathode ray tube. This film releases electrons, negative charges, and it's called a cathode. But here the zinc releases positive ions and hence it's an anode. But as this is as far as the internals of the cell is concerned. But what happens outside the cell? This is the negative terminal and this is the positive terminal, which is contrary to what we have been thinking. The cathode is negative charge releaser, but the anode is supposed to be a positive one, but we call it negative as far as the external of the cell is concerned. Why is it that? Because as far as the internal of the cell is concerned, it releases positive ions and hence it's an anode. But as far as the external of the cell is concerned, the electrons are sticking onto it and hence it's a negatively charged. Negative charges are released. So it's negatively charged terminal rather. So that is why as far as the external of the battery is concerned, this is the negative, the other one is the positive. But as far as the internal is concerned, this is still the anode because it releases positive ions. So here you will find it that we call this anode, but it is a negative terminal. Whereas in a cathode ray tube, it's a cathode, but it releases negative charges and not the anode. So that's the explanation. Thank you.